Welcome to Blue Collar Sports Talk. Here's a quick lineup of what we're going to talk about today. We're going to start out with Husker football. Number 2 Michigan comes to town. Nebraska's next opponent is Illinois. We'll take a look at the Illinois-Purdue game on Saturday. USC rolls into Boulder to take on Colorado. We'll talk about that game. The Big 12 battle, Kansas at Texas. LSU is on the road at Ole Miss. Utah goes to Oregon State. We'll talk about that one. Notre Dame goes to Duke. This should be an interesting matchup. Duke has come on strong this year. Moving over to the NFL. Thursday night's game, Lions at the Packers. Get up early on Sunday because the Falcons will be taking on the Jaguars in London, 8:30 a.m. Central on ESPN+. The London game. Can't wait to check out that game. 0-3 Broncos, 0-3 Bears. Do they tie and stay winless? Who knows? Oh, wait, another 0-3 matchup. 0-3 Vikings at 0-3 Panthers. The Dolphins at the Bills. I can't wait. This should be an amazing game. Patriots at the Cowboys. And, of course, Taylor Swift's new favorite NFL team, Chiefs at the Jets. And now here's our show. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another Blue Collar Sports Tack. Today is a tack. It's not a talk. All of a sudden, I went to Boston. We get the Ca. We're going to kick right off into Husker football. Michigan's coming to town, and they're number 2. They have some stuff to prove. They've gotten off to slow starts. Do we slow down J.J. McCarthy and Corum? We'll start with Peter. What do you think, Peter?
I really don't think so. I'm looking at Michigan probably blowing them out this game. For me, I was looking at some of the rushing stuff that Nebraska's doing, and they're getting 234 a game. But Michigan is only giving up 80. So it's like, oh, man. And their pass offense just really hasn't been there yet this year. So I'm thinking Michigan probably pulls this one out with ease. I'm taking them to cover that 18 points that they're getting, and I'm taking them over that 40.
I totally agree. The only chance Nebraska has is to run the ball 55 times. I mean, we already know Harburg's not exciting. Last I read, Sims is still iffy. His ankle's not 100%. I did see him come out in one play last game. Excuse me. And he immediately played one play and was right back out on the sideline. So, to me, Nebraska's formula to even keep it within close to maybe a striking distance of a turnover to turn the game, you got to run the ball, punt it, run the ball, punt it. Michigan has a quarterback this year, you guys. That's not normal. Normally it's a running game and a complimentary quarterback. This quarterback for Michigan's for real. But we know they're off to a slow start, so if Nebraska can get momentum early, there's a slight chance at home. But, Michigan wins. Covering, I don't know. That's a lot. Nebraska plays really good D and some good ball control.
They're giving up 251 through the air, though.
Yeah.
If Michigan's got the good quarterback, I could see him getting all of that and more.
But if we get some sacks, get on him. You're right. 18's a lot. I hope they don't cover that. But Michigan wins, yeah.
I agree. Michigan all over it. J.J. McCarthy has started to show up on early Heisman watch lists. He has, for the season right now, almost 1,000 yards, 915 yards through the air, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And Corum on 58 carries is 351 yards, 8 touchdowns. So you can't just – they're a two-headed monster. You can't just stop one or the other. All right, we're going to go on to the next game here. We've got Illinois and Purdue. Illinois is our next opponent, and they're at Purdue. Purdue's favored by 1. This should be a snooze fest. unless you're an Illinois or a Purdue fan.
Right.
James, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's at Purdue. Purdue sitting at 1-3, Illinois 2-2. A very weak 2-2. I don't know. They both very similar in play. They both like to pass over the run. I'll take Purdue at home just because I got no other reason. Illinois is a really good team as far as on paper, but I'll take Purdue at home.
I was looking at some of the stats last night, and 7 interceptions by that Illinois quarterback already. So he is just giving the ball away all over the field. But that -1 number, that's just a pick 'em for me, and especially with Purdue being at home. I mean, I'll take him at home, but I wouldn't think that they're going to go over that 53 number. So I'll take Purdue at home, but no cover, no over. I'll take the under on that.
Depending on where you look, it actually has gone even on some sites, and others still have Purdue at 1. So everybody's kind of looking at it that way. I'm going Illinois. Somehow, some way, Brent Bielema rights the ship and figures it out on the road. And the Fighting Illini get it done. What would college football be without someone talking about Colorado? Well, that's our next game. USC at Colorado. Who wants to take this one on first?
I'll take this one on, and I think USC is going to just smoke them. I think this is going to be another just absolute beatdown, just like last week in the Oregon game for Colorado. I said it last week. I think that Colorado coming out of this week is going to be 3-2 for sure, and I don't see them doing hardly anything. I will take USC. 21.5. It's a big spread, but I will take them to cover that, honestly. And I will take the 73.5 as well on the over. I think USC is going to be a lot like Oregon last week and just put up the big numbers.
James, go ahead.
Yeah, I totally agree. It was funny because after Oregon beat them, Keyshawn went on and was talking about coaching fraternity gave Oregon the insight on how to beat Colorado. I don't think there was any. It's called game film, by the way. Nebraska gave you a blueprint on how to sack him 7 times. Colorado State gave you a blueprint on how to move the ball on him without turning it over. Yeah, there's no secret on how to beat Colorado. You run the ball a lot. You throw it down the middle because they have no help. And USC puts up 50 also. So, yep, USC wins.
I was off. I did have last week Oregon winning, but somehow I said Colorado covers. They didn't even come close to covering last week. And I think this is going to be more of the same from what happened last week. Colorado's offensive line is weak at best. Their run defense is non-existent. And you have another guy you're meeting for the second week in a row that's in the early season Heisman watch list in their USC quarterback. So I don't know. I can't wait to hear what Deion says in the pressers afterwards, because sometimes that's more interesting to watch than the actual game. So
An 11 a.m. start, that's early. Man.
It is.
I was kind of surprised that game would be 11, but
imagine the West Coast fans. That's 9 o'clock for them.
Yeah.
That is early.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And it's 10 o'clock in Colorado, but yeah, all the way around, all three of us are thinking Colorado gets their butt kicked and go to 3-2. And the rest of their season just is tough from here on out. So, well, good luck, Deion. I hope you have some good mental therapy lined up after this game, because this one, I think they're just going to.
If I remember right from last week, I think they go to Arizona State after this, or have Arizona State at home, which should be a pick-me-up game for them, because I don't think Arizona State's done hardly anything yet this year.
Yeah, after this, you're right, it's Arizona State, Stanford, so they could have potentially 2 pick-me-up games. Then UCLA, Oregon State.
Which has been really good so far this year. Did lose to Wazoo last week, but
Yep. All right, there's our timer. Moving on to the Big 12 matchup of the week, I'm going to call it Kansas at Texas. Texas really has to make a showing if they want to continue making a case that they're going to be able to be in the college football playoffs. Guys, who wants to go and talk about this one?
I'll take. Yeah. So me, the biggest thing coming out on this is, we're looking at Nebraska, just talking about them trying to move the ball against Michigan. Kansas is 460 yards a game, 245 passing, 200 rushing. Wow. We're talking about the Kansas Jayhawks and at 4-0 and number 24. I don't give them a chance, especially at Texas. If it was at Kansas and they had, the little bit of home fans and trying to push them, I'd say they make it a game. Texas, I think, definitely wins this at home, but high five to Kansas starting to make a push, being relevant again in the Big 12, especially in football. Defensively, only 93 yards rushing. Texas, 87. So they're bringing the defense, and I like it. So I'm interested to see. We'll take Texas at home, though.
Depending on where you look, the lines moved a little bit, 17, 16 and a half. Then the overs and unders have shifted from 64 to 61, again, depending on where you look. I'm going unders, but Texas definitely covers. Peter, what do you think on this one?
I was looking at the defense a lot like James was and seeing that they both just have staunch run defenses. I mean, we're looking at less than 100 yards, that they're giving up per game. Also, I was looking at that Quinn Ewers, who is, once again, Heisman Trophy candidate. He's got no interceptions yet this year. So I'm thinking Texas is going to not cover that 17 number or 16 and a half, wherever you're looking. But I do like the 61 over number. So I'll take Texas plus the overs.
Yeah, the only reason I'm thinking unders is for Texas's defense. But you never know. If you look at all the scores for all of them, yeah, the overs are definitely attainable. SEC matchup, LSU at Ole Miss. That's a 5 p.m. game on ESPN. The early line had LSU at 2. Overs and unders set at 67. We're now looking at 2.5 and 67.5, depending on where you look. James, what do you think about this one?
It's going to be a real test for LSU. Ole Miss didn't play that great against Bama last week. Decent, but Bama seemed to be kind of finding their groove right now. I like LSU one. I mean, the main thing is their offense. Offensively, over 500 yards a game. And, they're giving up 132 on the ground. Ole Miss 125. Ole Miss just doesn't run it that much. So I'll take LSU on the road. And this puts everybody else in the SEC on notice. If LSU loses this game, then it's the same people at the top. But LSU wins this, and they're going to be moving up, and watch out for LSU and their offense.
I'm absolutely with you. LSU quarterback, 12 touchdowns so far this year, and he is just running it up and down the field. They were talking 338 passing for them, and Ole Miss is giving up 226. So I think he's going to have a great game, just going to go off. Ole Miss is scoring too, so I'm thinking that over number at 67. I think they'll definitely get past this. I will take LSU, and I'm going to take them to cover that 2.5 because I think they're going to probably outscore them by at least a touchdown. So I'll take LSU plus a touchdown.
I was really surprised that they have it only set at 2.5. I don't see Ole Miss's defense being that good to stop LSU's quarterback to keep it at a 2.5 point difference.
I don't either. Like, where's that number coming from?
And yeah, so last week Ole Miss lost to Alabama 24-10, and I don't know if LSU is in the same category as Alabama, or maybe I should say I don't know if Alabama is in the same category as LSU. I think LSU is potentially better than Alabama as the season progresses. Who knows? But I think LSU's quarterback play is 10 times better than Alabama right now. And that 2.5 is way low. So I'm right there with you, Peter. I'm taking LSU to cover a lot more than 2.5, and definitely the overs. Friday's game, we have Utah at Oregon State. Now, this is potentially a huge game for both of these teams. I mean, both of these teams definitely want to make a case for, hey, we deserve to be in a college football playoff this year. Now, Oregon State has dropped one. They're 3-1. Utah's 4-0. Peter or James, who wants to go first on this one?
I'll go first. I love Utah and their defense. Oh, my. Looking last week, they played, UCLA, 14-7. UCLA had so many chances to drive, and and then Utah, perfect example, make this quick. Last series of the game, UCLA has the ball. They got to go the length of the field to score. They get a turnover around midfield. Anyway, 3 straight sacks. They got it. So 1st and 10, UCLA drives sack. Utah, okay, they line up. UCLA, another play, sack. And I was like, oh my gosh, 3rd and down, so they know they have to throw, right? Sacked them again, and then obviously the 4th down doesn't really matter. But I was like, holy cow, Utah knew they had to put a stop, 14-7 win. Oregon State comes in 460 yards offense. They're passing for 234, but rushing for 224, kind of like Oregon. They're balanced, doing it both ways. I normally would be taking Utah because of that defense, but Oregon State's at home. So I'll take Oregon State. It's not an upset. It looks like they're favored by 3.5. Great Friday game. I mean, we usually don't get very good Friday matchups, but what a heck of a Friday matchup. You guys should be checking these guys out.
You know, I had pretty much all the same talking points you did. Utah, just great defense. Oregon State, just amazing offense. And I had the same pick you do. I got Oregon State. I'm covering with the 3.5, and I was saying over 44 because, you know, Utah, they're not giving up a ton of points, but I think Oregon State is going to be able to get some scores here, especially being at home, getting the crowd behind them.
Oh, yeah, I think that crowd's going to be huge.
I'm agreeing with you guys, but just to be the lone dissenter, I'm taking Utah. And I feel Oregon State should have a great comeback game this week, but for whatever reason, Utah figures out the offense a little bit. Because them not scoring more than 2 touchdowns on UCLA is a head scratcher, but somehow I think they figure it out this week. They eke out a win by 1 or 2 points, and I would stay all over the unders. I think it's the unders all day long for whatever reason, and because both of these teams allow over 200 yards passing. Oregon State allows almost 260. Utah allows 212, but both of them keep everybody under 70 yards rushing. So they all have to get it done through the air. But just for the fact that Utah hasn't scored a whole lot, they only scored 31 against Weber State and 20 against Baylor, who's not that good this year. So that's why I'm going unders on them. Notre Dame and Duke. Does Notre Dame figure out their personnel to keep 11 guys on the field every play when it matters most?
Oh, yeah.
Does Duke keep on rolling like they have been this year and just a huge surprise to everybody? I think Duke gets it done. I'll say it. Duke gets it done and unders. What do you guys think?
Wow, that is a bold pick. With the way Notre Dame took Ohio State to what they did last week. I mean, you look at Ohio State, and usually they're the measuring stick for the Big Ten. And if you're taking the best team in the Big Ten down to the last play of the game, you're pretty good.
You're really good because you almost stuffed them with 10 guys.
Yeah. So I will take Notre Dame and the 5.5, but I'm thinking this is going to be like just a track meet kind of game. So I'm going to take that over. I'm over on almost all these games today, and I'm sorry because that's just the way I think. But Notre Dame and Duke, I think they're going to go over the 52 number, and I will take Notre Dame to cover that 5.5.
I'm with Daryl in this one. As much as I like Notre Dame and what they did against Ohio State, I had picked them to win last week at home. Had a few opportunities. They had Ohio State to 3rd and long, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 12. That right before they got to the end zone, it was 3rd and 14, I believe it was, and they kept giving it up. I think that same thing is going to happen with Duke. 3rd down defense is going to kill them. They're going to be at Duke. The crowd's going to be loud. Everyone's been overlooking Duke ever since they beat Clemson. They said, "Oh, Clemson wasn't very good." Well, look at Clemson; they're pretty good. So yeah, going into Duke, I think it's like a letdown. I don't say a letdown game, but they expanded so much energy last week. They might look past Duke for some reason. I think Duke gets it done at home.
By the numbers, Duke and Notre Dame's defense, pass yards allowed, rush yards allowed, they're fairly close, fairly even. So this is going to be a fairly defensive game, and it's going to come down. Again, last week I said I think between Notre Dame and Ohio State, whoever has the ball last, well, Ohio State had it. I was going to guess that Notre Dame did, but this week I think Duke gets it done, and it might even be more than 5.5, but we'll see what happens. We're going to move over to the NFL. We have a fun Thursday night game for Lions fans and Packers fans, and Peter, you're a huge Packers fan, or maybe not huge, but you're a Packers fan. So why don't you go ahead and jump on this one?
It pains me to say this, but I think the Lions are going to take it today. Like Jordan Love, he started a little slow, especially last game, and it took them knocking Derek Carr out just for them to win the game. And so, I mean, I am excited to watch the defense of the Packers play against Jared Goff. He's not the most mobile quarterback, and I think that they'll be able to get quite a few sacks on him. But that being said, I don't think the Packers are going to win this game tonight. I think it's going to be Detroit. They're favored by 1. It's really a pick 'em with Green Bay being at home. And so I think I'm going to take the Lions. I'm not going to take any covers. I'll take the under on the 45, though.
Depending on where you look, line has gone to 2 for the Lions and 46. But you're going Lions and unders.
Yeah, unfortunately.
The Lions have really surprised a lot of people. James, what do you think about this one?
I picked them to win the North, so I'm not too surprised. I think they are the best team up there. Minnesota is going to be on the down without Dalvin Cook. I am a little surprised with Green Bay. I figured Minnesota finished second. It looks like Green Bay will. Jordan Love's playing really, really well. But I'm with Peter, though. I just don't know how well the offense is going to move. Detroit doesn't have a great defense. They show up and not show up, right? So for whatever reason, they showed up against Kansas City and then let Seattle come in there and take them. I don't know. I didn't get that. But I like Detroit on the road. As much as it pains me, it's hard to beat Green Bay and Lambeau, but I'll take Detroit on the road tonight.
Yeah, I'm going with the Lions as well. Their rush defense is almost twice as good as Green Bay's, allowing 72 rush yards where Green Bay allows almost 140. Their pass defense is almost identical. Both of them over 200, but under 260, which is respectable. So it's going to come down to the little things that make this one go. The turnovers, the special teams. Goff has 2 interceptions. Jordan Love has 1. And your running backs, can you chew up that clock just enough to make sure the other team doesn't get a chance to score at the end of half or at the end of the game? And I'm giving my nod to the Lions, but I'm going unders. I don't think either one of these two teams are electric enough at this point of the season to just throw up tons of points.
And Montgomery's out tonight, by the way.
Yeah.
But that rookie's going to be running for Detroit, so he should have a pretty good game.
And Aaron Jones has still been out for the Packers.
He's
questionable for tonight,
yeah,
but they have A.J. Dillon as like the guy on ESPN's app. So
yeah, this morning they said it looks like Aaron Jones will be a go.
Okay.
So that'll help them out a lot.
Timer for the next game. The next game is in a different time zone. No, not just a different time zone, on a different area of the world. The London game at Wembley.
And that means when you wake up in the morning for that coffee, it's football time.
That is kind of nice.
It is. It's great.
8:30 a.m. ESPN Plus. So I hope you have the ESPN Plus because that's the only way you're going to watch it. Falcons at Jaguars. The early line was 3. Depending on where you look, I think that stayed pretty constant at 3, and the overs and unders are set at 43.5. No matter what year, when you travel across the pond, it messes with the teams. It always has. You think, oh, this is going to work out great, but for whatever reason, all the travel really hurts some teams. This is evenly matched. The Falcons are doing really good. The Jaguars, had some hiccups here and there. James, what do you think about this one?
Well, one, I'm disappointed it's on ESPN Plus. I didn't notice that till you just saying it. Makes no sense when you're trying to promote an overseas game at 8:30 in the morning and then you put it on a restricted channel. The Jags are surprising me because, like we said in the beginning when we were picking our picks to win the divisions, the Jags were going to bring all this over to next season, right? Bringing over this season. Lawrence was supposed to be bringing the next level, blah, blah, blah. And they put up a laugher to Houston, losing 37-17. They're favored by 3 over Atlanta. I like Atlanta's D. Let's go with the upset. We'll take Atlanta on the road or wherever. Just take Atlanta and London and to win this.
Peter?
I'm thinking Jacksonville really needs to put some offense together. They've been settling for field goals just all over the place. And, looking at their last game against Kansas City, they scored 9. They scored 17 against Houston. They need to really go out there, pressure, and get into the end zone. I know I was listening to one of their games coming in to work, and like they got a penalty and they ended up at the 1-yard line. Instead of running it in or doing the old rugby play that we were seeing this year a lot, they go and make like 3 throws. And it's like, you got to punch it in. Use your big boys, get them out there, and just stuff the ball into the end zone. So that being said, I think I'm going to take Atlanta to win this game, and I'm going to stay on the underside of that 43 number.
I'm right there with you. I'm thinking the Falcons get it done. I'm also thinking the unders. And I think Bijan Robinson is a huge factor in getting the Falcons to win. This kid is dynamite. He's not getting a ton of carries, but he's gotten 39 carries so far, 213 yards. When he touches it, he's electric. He's tough to bring down. He's really shifty and just a fun guy to watch. We have our next 2 games that we're going to talk about. All 4 teams are winless, all right? The next one is the Broncos at the Bears, and I have some old school Dick Butkus quotes for this Broncos-Bears. All right, so this is Dick Butkus. I'm not so mean. I wouldn't ever go out to hurt anybody deliberately, unless it was, important, like a league game or something. And then another Dick Butkus quote, if I was smart enough to be a doctor, I'd be a doctor. I ain't, so I play football. Neither one of these teams are looking very smart. Broncos look horrible. Bears look horrible. I think a wet paper bag could keep them in a pocket and probably intercept a couple passes from either one of their quarterbacks. They just look ridiculous. Who wants to go first on this one?
I'll go first. I was looking at Denver for stats on the NFL app, and they're 8th in passing offense. In Chicago, 2nd to last in pass defense. They're 31st in the league. Neither one of these teams has a pass defense. We're looking at 290 yards, almost 300 yards given up by each one of them. I'm going to take Denver to win this game, but it's like, goodness gracious. Both these teams have just been terrible this year so far. This game, for me, this is not one you playing around the schedule to watch. I'm guessing they're giving away tickets for this game because probably nobody wants to go. So I'm going to take the under on the 46, though. I don't think this is going to be a high score.
Which is weird. To your point, they allow everybody else to score. The Bears scored 10 points against KC. The Bears scored 17 points against Tampa Bay. The Broncos scored 20 points against Miami, 33 points against Washington. So looking at that, the Broncos do score more, but their defense, both sides, is atrocious. James, what do you think?
I totally agree. I mean, you got, like you said, I'm taking the Broncos because of the 2 bad quarterbacks. Wilson's better than Fields. I'll toot my own horn here. I told you guys in the very first game when the Bears were favored over Green Bay, I have no idea what Vegas is looking at. The Bears are not a good team on paper. They're not a good team on the field. It shows every week. Broncos comes out, who knows, maybe field goal 12-9, kicking fest. But, yeah, Broncos win easily.
I'm going to go Broncos. I don't know about easily. I think they accidentally win somehow by like a pick six or a fumble recovery for a touchdown, and it's tied up until that point. But I don't know. Neither one of these teams seem like they want to win. In my mind, that their coach has decided, oh, well, we've lost 3. Hey, let's continue losing because I want the top pick. Those are the conversations that are happening behind closed doors that everybody say doesn't happen, but they happen. I mean, come on. Let's be realistic. And I think both sides are doing that. I think the Bears go, we need a top pick. We suck. Let's just continue sucking. And it's unfortunate that Justin Fields hasn't gotten the memo. Or maybe he has gotten the memo. Between the 2 of them, Justin Fields has 4 interceptions. Russell Wilson has 2, 6 for the year. and between the two of them, they only have 9 touchdowns. I don't know. Russell Wilson should make this a really easy win, but their defense is just atrocious. I don't know what they're working on in practice, but it's definitely not defense. On to the other 0-3 matchup, Vikings and Panthers. I don't know who could accidentally win this one, Peter.
I'm with James's point from last game. Who's got the better quarterback? And I would definitely say Kirk Cousins is better than, who is it? C.J. Stroud? I can't even remember.
No, it's Bryce Young. He didn't play last week. Dalton did.
Dalton's
but I don't.
playing.
Yeah, but
Andy Dalton, who's what, in his 12th, 13th year in the league.
Young might be back. I haven't seen an update. It still says on the injury thing. Oh, actually, he's not even on it. So he might be good to go. He was in that concussion protocol. So.
But, I mean, do you really want the 5'10" Bryce Young out there?
Yeah.
It has the same feel as Russell Wilson, where he doesn't have the height. And that's what you see in a lot of these young guys who think they can play. It's your Zach Wilsons and your Johnny Manziels and your Bryce Youngs. They're just short. And granted, that worked for some guys like Drew Brees, but not everyone has the arm he did. So I think you definitely see Minnesota pull out the win here. I'm taking them to cover the 3.5, and I'm going to actually take this game to go on to the overs of the 45 there.
Okay, so you're going Vikings cover definitely, and then overs.
Yeah.
James?
Yeah, I'll take Minnesota. They've lost a bunch of close ones. The only one that really wasn't close was, they go up 34 to Philly. Still one-score games that they're losing. Majority of the time, it's their defense letting them down. Thankfully, they won't have to worry about, like Peter's saying, either Dalton or Young taking them out. So Vikes get it done, finally get on the win. And Carolina, again, another reason, like I said, don't start rookie quarterbacks. It's a bad idea. No matter, you can't ever sell me to start a rookie quarterback, and you're seeing it. Except for, I know a game we're not talking about on a side note, C.J. Stroud and the Texans. He has yet to throw an interception and playing extremely well. So hats off to him. But again, don't start rookie quarterbacks.
Since you mentioned C.J. Stroud, he made history during Sunday's 37-17 upset of Jacksonville. Okay, and we're talking about Jacksonville. He went 20 for 30, 280 yards and 2 touchdowns. The outing made him the first quarterback in NFL history to have at least 900 yards passing and 4 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in his first 3 career starts. And this might, like you said, this might be the exception for rookie quarterbacks. On Sunday, he also was the 3rd quarterback to throw for at least 900 yards in his first 3 starts. He joined Justin Herbert, 931 yards, and way back in 2015, Cam Newton, 1,012 yards. So that production is amazing from this guy. The guy who doesn't have production, Bryce Young. 2 games.
The number 1 overall pick.
2 games, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I think you have a better chance if you stick with Andy Dalton. I don't think that the Panthers are smart enough to do that. So I'm going Panthers.
The fans won't let them.
I'm going the Panthers lose ridiculous style. Kirk Cousins gets it going, and I'm like with Peter. They're Vikings and overs all day long because the Panthers can't get anything done. In my mind, our next game might be the most exciting game on our list and potentially
agree with you.
The season.
Yeah, this is gonna be
Early
a good one.
season.
If these two teams continue to play like they're playing, I think this could be the game of the season.
There's been some talk from a couple different people that maybe they should move this one to Sunday night instead of that Kansas City Jets game because now that Aaron Rodgers is out, that game has no pop.
The only reason that they can is because of Taylor Swift. They said Kelsey's jersey numbers have gone up over 400% thanks to Taylor Swift showing up in Kansas City and being shown on TV. Thanks to all the Swifties.
While we're on that, someone said this is going to boost Travis Kelce's notoriety because they said, I didn't even know who this guy was until I was like, are you kidding me? Anyway, yeah. Dolphins, Bills, only thing I would disagree on you, Daryl, is if Cowboys and Eagles keep winning, that game will be a Sunday night game. It'll be a big marquee matchup.
Cowboys
a
just
lot
lost
like
to
this one.
the Arizona Cardinals. I want to remind you.
Bills lost to the Jets. I want
Exactly.
to remind you.
No, exactly. Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. If
Exactly.
they keep winning, though, Eagles and Cowboys will meet up. Same thing, division foes, 1 or 2 losses. The game will help depend on the division. So, yeah, Bills-Dolphins is huge. It's more for the Bills. They've already lost to the Jets. They have 1 division loss. Dolphins can afford to lose this and still be in the mix. A lot of the talk is at 70 points. Miami and their offense, when we just talked about how bad the Broncos defense is. I'll take the Bills at home. I think Josh Allen heard me talking about his game 1 against the Jets, and he's played really good last couple games.
The overs, depending on where you look, went from 53.5 to 54. Yeah, the Bills lost to the Jets the first game of the season. I'm going to count that as a non-loss just for the fact that it was the first game of the season, because the Bills come back and they beat Vegas 38-10. They come back and beat Washington Commanders 37-3. I think the Dolphins come in to Buffalo, and on that winning cloud of, we just scored 70 points, granted against one of the worst teams in the NFL right now, that Tua is probably thinking we're unstoppable, so that could potentially be bad. You get a little overconfident, but I think they come in and they really shock Buffalo, and I think they hand Buffalo another loss. Buffalo moves to 2-2. Tua and Tyreek and Mostart, they have amazing games again. I don't know.
I'm with you. Like, the Bills just don't have much run game, it seems like to me. Even though if you look at their top rusher and Miami's top rusher, they have essentially the same yards, but Mostert for Miami has 6 touchdowns. And the Bills guy, none. You're not letting them run into the end zone. You're not, I see Miami really putting a whooping on the Bills this week. And because it's such an early season game, the scheduling guys did Miami a solid here. Because if this was ended December, this game has a completely different feel. Completely. Early September, you're probably getting fairly decent weather. I could definitely see Miami covering and getting past that 53 mark. I think you're going to definitely get points out of both of these teams. Both of them are scoring over 30. So I would say you're going to see a good game, and I'd definitely take the over. I'm going to take the Dolphins, though.
This may sound like I'm flipping and flopping, but I agree with James. It could definitely be the Bills because they have the better pass defense. I just feel that something happens similar to what happened with the Jets, where they somehow not necessarily give this game away, but a couple of unfortunate things happen, and the Dolphins come in and take it. I mean, Tua is throwing 8 touchdowns so far, has thrown 8 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards. Jared Allen already has 4 interceptions. So all you need is one game-changing, momentum-swinging play like an interception or a fumble, and I think that's what propels the Dolphins to a win.
All right, you guys are talking about this Dolphins team that had played the Chargers, the Patriots, and Denver. Just saying.
3 confidence-building games, and I agree. The Chargers are the ones that gave them the most to think about with 36-34. They have a great quarterback in Justin Herbert. New England, kind of poopy, not even going to lie. Denver Broncos are like mentally handicapped, and they're also in a wheelchair, so they're handicapped twice. I don't think Sean Payton has changed his mindset from booth broadcast guy back to coach yet. Not completely. And the reason I say that, he has stuck with Russell Wilson. Swallow that big, jagged little pill, man, and sit him on the bench. Start the switch or figure out your defense. And I know I went back to the Broncos, but the Dolphins, until they show me differently, I'm going to be praising Tua's offense and Tyreek's amazing ability and Mostart. I think this is huge. I think they can outcoach the Bills' coaching staff. All those lead up to the Bills taking it. That being said, James, you're not wrong. The Bills, everything that shows on paper, the Bills' rush defense, the Bills' pass defense should make this an easy win for them. But also, the odds makers didn't see the Dolphins putting up 70 points on the worst team in the NFL either. Yeah. So, moving on to the Patriots and the Cowboys. Patriots roll into take on James's Cowboys. And depending on where you look, the line was 7. It kind of hovers around 6.5, 7. Overs are at 43. James?
Yeah, it's funny you're talking about Sean Payton. I remind all those McCarthy haters out there that were screaming for Sean Payton. That's what you're going to get. So, again, I'm so glad that Jerry didn't make that move and go get Sean Payton. Yeah, you talked earlier how the Bills lost to the Jets. It was a first game of the season thing. Same thing, I think, with the Cowboys losing to Arizona. It was one of those, I think, a big head. No excuses. You still can't lose. You can't play. But Peter had brought up earlier about getting in the end zone. The Cowboys, numerous times inside the 5 against Arizona and threw the ball all 3 times. Didn't even have a rushing attempt. And, oh, by the way, Pollard had over 120 yards rushing that game, I believe. So, to me, it's a red zone offense. It was tailored two halves. First half, the defense was completely dominated by that Arizona offense. Second half, Dallas's defense locked it down. Cowboys couldn't do anything offensively due to their own ineptness. So, I like Dallas at home, especially at home. Get right. McCarthy hopefully did some yelling. The players put each other in check. And they win at home against the Patriots.
I am definitely seeing this as a bounce back game for that Dallas D. I mean, you probably got your butt chewed out all week. Going to come out, just absolutely be hair on fire, running after quarterback, and I'm thinking that they bounce back here for sure. I'm going to take them to cover the 7 points, and I'm going to take them on the underside of the 43. I think we're not going to see a very high-scoring game here.
So last week against Arizona, I don't know if Josh Dobbs confused them. I don't know if the Cowboys' rush defense was confused because they gave up 222 yards rushing. 222. And on the season average, they're giving up 130. Dude, that's a 70-yard difference. So what play scheme did Arizona come up with to confuse them so much, but also to be shut down in the red zone so many times by Arizona was confusing. That being said, I don't think the Patriots are anywhere near ready to step up and have any sort of good game. Their lone win was against the Jets. The Jets. They lost to Miami 24-17. They lost to Philadelphia 25-20. So, I mean, they can keep it close. So, I'm going to say Cowboys somehow get a win. And I'm going to go overs. I think that all the butt chewing that McCarthy did has...
We need to put a side bet on this one. You guys taking Zeke to get in the end zone in his return to Dallas, or yes or no?
No.
No?
No.
Ooh. Gosh, I forgot about that. Okay, yeah, you're right. Ezekiel Elliott is now with the Patriots. So, you know what? Now that you said that, I'm completely changing. I'm going to take the Patriots. And here's why. I feel that Belichick sat down with Zeke and was like, what do you think they're going to do? Well, they're going to do this. They're going to do this. Here's their weaknesses. You can get this. You can get this. And I'm going to take the Patriots. I'm going to take the Patriots and the unders.
I'm going to say Belichick sticks it to him, puts Zeke in the end zone. So I'm going to say he does get a touchdown this week.
I think he does too. Because here's why. Zeke isn't the guy who's going to break a 20-yard run. Zeke is the guy you're going to put on third and short, goal and short, and they're going to punch it through, and they're going to make sure he scores. And he is going to make sure and show the Cowboys organization, you guys are idiots. You guys let me go. They
have a good 1-2 punch. They have that Ramondre Stevenson as their number one back, and Zeke's kind of like the backup. So, I mean, if Ramondre Stevenson kind of gets you gets you going, gets you down there, and then all of a sudden you just use Zeke to punch it in. I could see that happening a couple times for sure.
The other side of that is the Cowboys are all hurt. Their whole offensive line is banged up again. So if you have to bring in all backups, that's another plus in the Patriots category. James?
You think the Patriots are going to have first and goal from the 5 to let Zeke get in? That's interesting.
Maybe once.
That's interesting.
I'm not saying 7 times. I'm saying once.
Yeah, and like you said, Dallas was down 3 offensive linemen in that Arizona game, so maybe that could have went toward the woes of why they didn't run the ball. But still, to me, you got to give it a chance.
For whatever reason, I somehow forgot that Ezekiel Elliott did end up on the Patriots. That makes this game completely different in my mind, and it completely changed my outlook on who might come out. I'm just being silly saying the Patriots will get it done. I still think that the Cowboys will do it, but I'm going to stick with Patriots and the unders just for the Ezekiel Elliott went to the Patriots factor.
And Will Grier, that quarterback that he just signed with the Patriots also, by the way.
Oh, Will Grier did?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a few former Cowboys on that team. Okay, so what was it? A couple weeks ago, I said Jason Kelce, his head may not be in the game because he's in love with Taylor Swift.
Travis Kelce, maybe?
Yeah, there you go. That's
and he had a big game.
Yeah. Jason Kelce's his brother plays on the offensive line. I don't think has anything to do with Taylor Swift. Anyway, so he was coming off an injury, and last week was weird. When I looked at the stats, Mahomes didn't target just 1, 2, 3, or 4 different guys. He had it was a lot. Let me try to bring up the target list for last week. Mahomes, and also Blaine Gabbert. They had Travis Kelce, Rashawn Rice, Justin Watson, Sky Moore, Marquise Valdez-Scandling, Jerick McKinnon, Isaiah Pacheco, Noah Gray, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Justin Rose, and Tony were all targeted last week. Okay? So you're going to tell me 12 different guys have targets? How do you watch and how do you figure out how many different targets you have on defense? Jets have no way. No way. Bears didn't have any way. They allowed them to score 41 points.
I think this game really lost a lot once Rodgers went out. This was going to be marquee matchup. That's why they put it in Sunday night. 2 great quarterbacks going at it. And now you have Zach Wilson, who has completely lost the locker room. I was listening on the way to Dan Patrick, and one of his talking points was, Patrick Mahomes thinks New York Jets defense is pretty good, so he's going to have to, be on his game. But the offensive side, are they going to be keeping the Chiefs defense out there? No. I mean, you look at Zach Wilson, and like a lot of the guys on the sideline are saying, he's not going through his progressions. He's not going to the second and third guy. He is just lost. And you're not going to, they're asking, when is he going to get benched? Because that's what needs to happen. So, yeah, I see the Chiefs making that 9.5 number with ease, and I'm taking them over that 42 number. I mean, they outmade it by themselves last week. So I'm definitely saying Chiefs with the over.
Is it Zach Wilson's fault or is it their offensive line fault? And if it's the offensive line fault, that's management's fault.
No, it's Zach Wilson. If all you got to do is watch, you can do the highlights or watch a first quarter. Zach holds that ball and holds the ball. And granted, their line's not great to begin with, but he's another one that started as a rookie and doesn't know how to read a defense. So he finds that one guy that he thinks is going to be open and he doesn't get off of him. But if you just going back to that Patriots game, I know the weather is kind of crappy, but you just see him holding the ball, holding. And I'm like, dude, like Aaron Rodgers, the line's not great. So are we not calling plays 1, 2, 3, let's get rid of it? Or you didn't like what you saw, so you're going to hold?
Where's your quick outs? Where's your curl routes? Where's your,
And everyone has the relief guy. You're not even slinging it across to the running back. And like those 12 targets, 3 of the names you named are running backs. So Mahomes is dumping it off, which is fine. But you're talking about a Bears defense and a Jets defense. Mahomes is going to have to really lock in. The Jets defense is really good. So they're not going to go off for the 40, I don't think, against the Jets, even though they're going to be on the field a lot. The offense will for the Chiefs. But yeah, to me, a lot of it, if you watch any of this game, it'll be Sunday night. Just watch how long Zach Wilson holds the ball. The line gives him enough time to get rid of it. But
they said they brought in Trevor Siemian this week. The Jets did. So
okay.
It might be he gets benched, somebody else comes in, kind of thing. So too.
I enjoyed all the rumors of them trading for Kirk Cousins. I don't know if you guys heard those.
I did see those. Yeah.
Silly as heck. But yeah, Chiefs at home. Like I said, it's a no-brainer. Just got to watch the Jets defense so they don't force too many turnovers and put the Chiefs in a bind.
I was giving Alyssa some crap about that on Tuesday at work.
Yeah.
And she's like, that ain't happening. It's not going to go that way.
Well, they just talked about the Cowboys trading for Kyle Pitts. And I said, yeah, that's just as much as the Jets are going to trade and get Kirk Cousins. It's media rumors, speculation. It's not going to happen.
Aaron Rodgers had a very short window to show what he could do with the Jets. And in my mind, the offensive line let him down, and the offensive line is what led to his injury. He was running for his life on the short 2 plays that he was there. Zach Wilson comes in, and he's running for his life. He's still running for his life. And I don't think he can look at any other targets than he's like, okay, I get 1 second after the snap, and then I have to run out of the pocket. I don't think it matters who you put in there. I even read reports that Colin Kaepernick sent a letter to the Jets asking and begging them to take a look at him. Whatever quarterback you decide to plug into this system, instant failure. There is no way the Jets, with this offensive line and their coaching, can get it done with anybody. How they eked out a win against Buffalo is amazing. Buffalo gave it away that game. That was the stupidest loss ever for Buffalo. That being said, Chiefs all day long, overs. And Taylor Swift is probably going to be there again. Taylor Swift is going to be prominently featured on your television when you watch us on NBC. Kelsey jerseys are going to have another surge. And the Jets potentially are going to get Zach Wilson broken in 2. Okay, that being said, that takes us through all of our games, and we have time for James.
I have a few things not on the sports day, but big basketball news. Damian Lillard, three-team trade going to Milwaukee Bucks.
I did not see that.
Yeah, it's going to be, the Phoenix Suns. It looks like Dayton's going to be going to Portland. Portland, Phoenix, and Milwaukee's making a 3-way deal. And then that's going to put Drew Holiday on trade alert. So then the Celtics are looking to go after him. We'll see what they're wanting.
That's a big change.
It's huge because Milwaukee went from 4th or 5th to win the title to number 1 now, obviously.
Yeah, that changes your odds a lot. I mean,
And then,
I'm not a Grayson Allen fan, but they lose a really good player off the bench for 3-pointers. I hate him as a person, but as a basketball player, he's pretty good.
Is that the kid from Duke that hurts everybody?
Loves to trip people. I don't know if this necessarily makes him better. I look at Damian Lillard as in the same vein as this is tough, James Harden or any of the other people that they are great when they're the main star. When you have to share the limelight, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope this makes Milwaukee Bucks instant contenders with bringing Damian Lillard over here. I don't think Giannis has any issue with sharing the limelight. We'll see what Damian Lillard does. Because if he isn't willing to share the limelight, this was the stupidest trade you could have made. Because great players doesn't make for a great team.
No.
I thought he was like a Miami-only trade destination.
He did say that.
Yeah, he had his things. But when things don't go your way and it goes this late and you're like, okay, that deal's not going to get done. And the team owns it. He didn't have a no-trade clause, so he was still stuck either way. But, yeah, I totally agree with you. It'll have to wait and see. And as a Celtics fan, I don't want it to work. But, I like Damian Lillard. I think he's a great player. I like watching him.
Great player. Yeah. I don't want to
stay out west.
I don't want to take anything away from him as a single player, but put him in the team element.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's the guy.
Yeah.
The same with DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton now goes to Portland, and I think that made him worse.
Yeah.
I don't understand what goes through DeAndre Ayton's head sometimes.
Yeah.
So very interesting offseason news in the basketball world. That shook up a lot of stuff. Also, NHL hockey preseason has started. So if you're a hockey fan, this is huge. You have NFL, you have college, you have NHL preseason. You have all this stuff ramping up for the preseason of basketball to start in October.
Yep.
You just had the FIBA World Classic for basketball. What a great time to have
MLB
sports.
coming into its postseason.
Oh, MLB.
Yeah,
Acuna's doing amazing stuff.
So, Roger, your boy Acuna, first guy ever, not with the 40 home runs, but you put it with 70 steals. 40-70 guy, new mark to set for these young people coming in. Also, starting tomorrow, the Ryder Cup for you golf fans. The U.S. won it last time, 19-9. All the talk is about that blowout win. By the way, the roster is completely different. Thank you, Liv, for that. And then our girl Larson is back with Nebraska volleyball. I don't know. I was trying to find out, did that mean she didn't make the Olympic team, or is she on a hiatus and she's just hanging out in between practices? I can't find out because she had left to practice trying to make the Olympic team. Now she's back with Nebraska's volleyball. She's on the side just kind of watching. She's not actually coaching yet. She's getting her feel. So I don't know what that means. Like I said, I couldn't find it. I was trying to Google different things and nothing would come up. But Larson is back in Nebraska with the Nebraska volleyball team and another great, smart person next to Cook. So it'll be awesome. But today in sports, me and Roger like to talk about the Black Sox. It was on this day in 1920 that 8 of the White Sox players were indicted by the grand jury for fixing the 1919 World Series, unfortunately. And then for a pitcher, so we talk about how there's no complete games. Or Hershiser, Dodgers back in 1988, breaks former Dodger Drysdale's record, 59 consecutive scoreless innings. So if you pitch that as a complete games, you're looking at least, what is that, 6 complete games, right? Obviously, I don't think they're all complete games. So you're going, I'm going to say at least 7 games. I couldn't find out how many it went through, but at least 7 games of scoreless baseball, which is pretty darn good for any pitcher in any era.
Very true, very true. Peter, any parting thoughts?
None today.
All right. I have got a quote from Vince Lombardi for all the losing NFL teams that are 0-3 and just look like a big polished turd. The measure of who we are is what we do with what we have. The Vikings and the Panthers and the Broncos and the Bears are not doing very much with what they have. That being said, thanks for listening. If you listen to YouTube, hit that subscribe button. And if you listen on Spotify, please hit the follow button. Thanks for listening. Mr. Peter.
Have a good day, guys.
Mr. James.
See ya.
Go watch some sports.